Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning into PD World. And you guys are obviously watching World this morning alongside Shazad Khan and Maha Makhdoom. And for all of those who are out there in Europe, who are out there in Asia, who are out there in Africa, who are out there in Gulf, thank you very much for tuning in, obviously.
And welcome everyone. I was going to let Shazad, list off all the countries and then I would say hello. But no, I hope you guys are doing fantastic, and wherever you're watching, welcome. Today we have a very interesting show for you, as we always try to do. Today is a very important day, and it's something that we take for granted. We take everything for granted, I feel, these days. Be it our health, be it the things that we've been gifted with, the things that we've been blessed with, like our homes, our families, and whatnot. But the smallest thing, we take our own lives for granted. For example, the fact that when we were born and now, we have our working 5 fingers, our toes, our feet, our hands. We don't have any difficulties that we're facing, and even then we can find problems in our lives.
And even then, I think at the same time we are not thankful to the Creator, because of the fact that we do not realize how beneficial this one finger can be for us. I think if we ask this question from that particular person who actually does not have a complete hand, I think he'll be able to differentiate in between that. But to be very honest, I think we should always be grateful of the fact that we are healthy and all our limbs, they are functioning, because today we are marking the United Nations International Day of Persons with Disability. And to observe a day does not really mean that other than this day we do not include that particular segment in our shows or in such awareness programs. Even other than that, in the White Cane, if you have seen the White Cane show and its importance, I think most of the time what we try to do is that we try to gather people from all walks of life so that we can have a different opinion, we can have a different approach, so that we can actually deduce something very useful out of it.
Exactly.
So that's what we've done today.
And it's not just on the special day, on the days that we're observing, in every aspect of life, because at the end of the day, we should not be excluding anyone from the society or community, because everyone should have a voice and everyone is being affected by the decisions that, we make or organizations make. So we need to make sure that we're representing a cross-section of the society.
And at the same time, I think I would like to comment over here that I do not really know what the other private channels are up to, and I don't even like bashing them. But most of the time, the only thing you can see on those private channels with those particular dramas which are out there, and having those wife and bhabis jagras and ladaiyan and fights or dances or something other than that. I don't think that in all those other channels we do get some useful information which we can use in our daily life. So I think we have taken up this challenge and we'll be doing it for all of you who are out there, obviously. So today we obviously have an expert panel.
Yes, we do.
And Maha would like to do the introduction.
And it's a bit of a, they've all got a bit of an introduction, so bear with me, because we do have a wide array of guests today, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the show. So the closest to me, we have Mohammed Atif Sheikh. He is the president at STEPS, which is Special Talent Exchange Program. You're also a barrister for the Asia Pacific Development Center, and you're a disability advisor. So there's so much that you've done, so I'm not going to list off everything, but thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
How are you, Atif?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Lovely to have you.
Thank you very much.
So what is this year's theme?
This is sustainable development and promises of technology.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
We're going to talk about
Sorry,
it.
I was meant to say that in the introduction, but we got a bit carried away. Besides Atif, we have Sadia Rahman. She is the head of programs society at the British Council. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Maha. Hello, Maha.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm with Maha.
Hello, Shazad.
Hello.
Oh, yay, finally, someone said to me first. Okay, and besides Asadia, we have Mohammed Shabir Awan. He is visually impaired since birth, but he has been working as a research associate at National Defence University. You're also the president of the Rawalpindi Cricket Club of the Blind. Wow. And you're also affiliated with Pakistan's Blind Cricket Council. On top of that, you are the media officer for Islamabad Cricket Association of the Blind.
And he deserves a big round of applause. A big round of applause for you, Kabir.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Maham and Shazad.
Thank you. And you've got a great smile, by the way. Ever since you walked into this building, he's been smiling, which is wonderful.
Thank you.
Besides Shabir, we have, and I'm going to get this right. Mr. Fazal Rahman, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Fazal Rahman has done his Masters in Sustainable International Development. You're currently serving as the Director of Helping Hands for Relief and Development in Pakistan, and you've got a vast experience in Canada as well within this area. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Shazad also. No, we will not forget Shazad.
no, I must forget Shazad. Okay, and besides Mr. Rahman, we have Haji Babar, who is an ataxia sufferer and is working for the awareness of ataxia within Pakistan. Thank you so much for joining us.
How are you, Haji Sahab?
I'm happy to see you again.
Thank you so much for
We're
joining
happy
us.
to see you again, and since we are talking about disability today, so Atif, I think I'm going to throw this on to you. Most of the time, whenever we speak about disability or say that people with disability, do you think it's the right term to be used?
There is exact terminology you are using, persons with disabilities. Previously, many terminologies were used which are still common in Pakistani culture, but they are obsolete now. On this particular day, we have to highlight this issue that person with disabilities means person first approach. Like all, we count them as people, as person, then disability or inability comes later.
Okay.
Special person, disabled person, crippled, all these jargons have been obsolete now.
But other than special, disabled, crippled, do we have a good word for this?
We have, like most of the people say that people with challenge or a person with having visual challenges or something, but these are all everyone.
Or maybe person with special ability.
No, actually, when we say that person with special ability or disability, every single person in this world has some abilities or disabilities.
Yes.
So find disability in the society, not in the human being.
Absolutely.
So then why is it important for us to differentiate in between a person who's unable or disabled or able?
Let me tell you, every person has some limitations in their daily living. For example, you can't climb this wall.
Yeah.
That means you have a limitation.
Yeah.
So you are disabled in a sense. Or if I would start speaking in any other language, in Malaya or in French or Spanish, hopefully all my colleagues here would not understand me. That
Exactly.
they will be hearing impaired.
But do you know all these languages?
No. So they will be hearing impaired.
Yeah.
So that means it's just a linguistic barrier. And we call a lot of people who don't understand sign language, we don't understand sign language, but we call them hearing impaired. So why we call them? We have to understand the sign language. This is just a linguistic barrier. Similarly, like if we are sitting on the third floor having this meeting and we have to go to the third floor and there are no stairs, no elevator, all of us will be disabled. And if there is an elevator, a wheelchair user and all of us can go in the same speed.
Yeah.
That means we have to enable the environment.
So
Find out disability in the environment.
Okay, well that's wonderful.
Amazing.
Let's move on to Sadia. Representing the British Council, what exactly are you doing in regards to raising awareness, and why are you observing this day today? What's the significance?
Well, first, British Council is a global organization, and our focus is cultural relations. We focus on people, and people include everyone: children, young people, women, older people.
Adults.
When you focus on those groups in the society who have been marginalized because of ABC factors, whether that's conflict, whether that's inavailability of services, and as Atif mentioned, environmentally sidelined on margins, then all those people are the focus that the British Council looks at. Okay. From an organizational perspective, equal opportunity and diversity is our cross-cut theme, where we strongly believe in making sure that everyone, wherever we work, has an access to our work, is part of the work we do for communities. And because our focus is to bring people of the world and UK together, so focusing on disability is one cross-cut work that we do globally.
And how do you plan on it? For example, if you're focusing on disability, that's one thing. Yes, that's good. But what's your approach towards that?
Our approach is making it inclusive. So from hiring for our staff to the operations we do, every point needs to be accessible for persons with disability.
So you're even creating job employment, you're even offering them dignity.
Of course, in our services and in our operations, in our programs, in our initiatives, accessibility and inclusive approach is a must.
Amazing.
So for example, we work very closely with artists organization, and the idea is to link up with the wider sector work that's been happening. So not only just working with champions, but accessing those people who may not come directly in our programs and opportunities.
That's great. I just want to move on to onto Shabir. Sorry, there's so many names. I just have to double check. Shabir, you know, you've had this. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You've had this impairment since you were a child. How have you managed to overcome the challenges? Because you've done a PhD, you've done an MPhil, you've done a couple of masters. Now you're working, so you kind of are breaking all the kind of ideas that we have that people in this country, if they have a inability to do something, they are not able to succeed.
Well, Maha, it would be a pretty difficult question to answer because how you say it, that when you are a person with impairment, well, when you were discussing at the start of the program the jargons, to me, if you ask me, frankly speaking, these are just semantics. Right. You call me person with disability, you call me person with visual impairment, you call me a blind person. It doesn't really matter to me.
Okay.
Really, no. What really matters to me is the behavior while you are addressing to me. If your accent, your style of speaking is insulting, and by the way, people are judged by the way they behave to each other. So I would really say that these jargons would matter only in those circumstances.
Okay.
Coming to my own circumstances, working and studying first and then working with an impairment, I am just, if I give my example of a book, it's just a cover page in front of you. Behind that book, there are lots of teamwork that has been done.
It's a gold mine in there.
Yeah. My parents, my friends, my teachers, credit goes to them, who have made me to this book in shape of this bind book that I am in front of you as a package. Right. So this would be a good thing to say, I think.
Okay, but Mr. Shabir, since we were talking about, since you earlier mentioned about that are being judged by how they actually behave. So how many times did you actually got offended with somebody's behavior, and what's your immediate response to that?
It would be, I would say, circumstantial. Often in life you get disappointed by the behaviors and by the accents and by the semantics that they call you, they talk to you. Right. So normally earlier when I was a child or a teenager, then I used to get offended by these jargons. Right. But with the passage of time, when I got understood that no, these are just jargons, these don't make impact on my life and my circumstances. If a person is calling me blind, well, it is his problem. Yes. My problem is that what I am doing and what I consider myself.
Very nice.
Wonderful. That's so
I think I feel like giving you a hug right now, but since we are wearing mics, so I think it's not pretty much possible.
Okay, let's move on to Mr. Rahman here. You know what? We're talking about the day, we've talked about what different people's experiences, but let's talk about the situation within Pakistan, because you're working on a very large scale as well within this disability, with persons with disabilities. So what is the situation right now? What's happening right now in Pakistan?
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Ma. Actually, when we talk about the people with disability, a person with disability, then first of all, we have to know about the people, that how many people are in our country. So there is a need for concrete statistics or information.
Yeah.
Right.
If we don't have information, then we are also disabled.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we cannot do anything about PWDs, people with disabilities. So my organization and we are working about children with disabilities, CWDPs. We have a program that how we reach out the children who are living in far-flung areas, in rural areas, especially in villages, and they don't have accessibility.
Right.
Not only accessibility to the school or to the hospital, but actually there is a no inclusion of the children. And in this way, you can find that many children, they are able, normal, but they are not going to schools.
Right.
So, how we are trying that bring these children into school, normal schools, if they are a little bit, you know, the disability, you can say. If they are normal, then we have to put them in the normal schools.
Right.
And if they are in severe in disability, then we have to put in special education.
Right.
But
okay.
the unique thing is that, you know, that people, they make a building and put all, you know, children in a one building and give them education or special education.
Yeah.
But our idea is different. That is,
One
we
playground for
have
them.
to go into the villages are inclusive.
Right.
That we have to involve the people, the families, because the family, they don't know how to take care of the children. So
Okay.
we have to give them awareness, education, and we have to rehabilitate their children.
But I think Rahman Sahab, most of the time, I think I will agree to the extent where you said that you have to go to the families because they are not aware. But I think by the end of the day, people with disabilities, I think it's all they have is their families.
Yeah.
And how do you think a family can play a very pivotal role in changing their careers, in changing their life, in changing their mindset? How do you think they can play a very important role?
I think my shows, and just Atif Sahab also discussed that we have to give them education and awareness, because many people, they don't know that from where we get devices, from where we get education, from where we get the health facilities for these children, and they are putting their children inside.
Okay. So let's move on to Haji. Haji Babar, what your experiences, you know, because you are suffering from very rare condition, which is ataxia. We did a whole show on this. So what, you know, with your experiences, it's been very important to have the support, because this is not, you know, something that is a lot of people are suffering with. So how have you managed to do you know, get the support of your family? How have you managed to, you know,
And what are the
become an
most common
advocate for
challenges
it?
you have to go through on daily basis?
Yeah.
Problem, so many problems. The main problem after that, after marriage, the people have so many problems. Like when we have children, so the main problem is how to manage the family in disability position. So that's the main problem, to manage in family. When I'm the elder brother and the big one in family. So if I have no income, no source, so that's the main problem, to how to manage my family.
Okay.
Economic stability, that's
Okay,
what we're
that's,
talking about.
that's wonderful. That's a perfect point to raise. And let's move on to Atif. You know, this issue, because what Haji suffers from is ataxia, which is where you lose control of, you know, your limbs, your muscles, and everything. So, you know, it's very rare. But these are, you know, this is a type of thing we need to, as a society, need to be aware about. We need to include everyone, because he's still able. He's here. He's sitting with us. He's, you know, holding a conversation. So these challenges, how do we combat them, and what are the steps that we take?
Actually, people with disabilities, whatever disability they have, they can be mainstreamed in the society, in the work environment, in the development agendas, in education, health, or whatever government or in civil society organizations are doing. They can be mainstreamed if they are accepted, if the disability is accepted as a different lifestyle.
Okay.
So far, in not only in Pakistan, in many developing countries, or even some of the developed countries, disability is still considered as medical issue or the charity issue.
All right, but then at the same time, Mr. Atif, since Haji Babar Sahab earlier mentioned about economic stability, do you think that we need to change the mindset of the society at large, or do you think we need to change the mindset of all those people who are suffering from disability?
Exactly, you have pointed very rightly. It's a twin track approach. We have to sensitize people with disabilities themselves as well to understand their disability
Okay.
and learn how to live with disability. in the
We have to change
society.
the psychology.
Yeah. And second, on the second part, we need to desensitize our society. Our society is more like oversensitized about disabled person, oversympathetic.
Yeah.
So we have to desensitize them that they should accept disability as a diversity,
Exactly.
not a medical problem or disease.
That's very interesting. I want to move on to Sadia. So, you know, before when we were discussing the subject, we talked about but now we've moved on to economic and social issues. So what are these cultural issues? Because the whole point of, you know, what you were saying is the relationship building and the cultural relationships that you have. So what are the cultural issues that you see, and how would you, as a person, part of the society, help to relieve that?
In terms of, you know, in terms of looking at our cultural element, not just Pakistan, but if you look at broader the South Asian level, disability is seen as more of a sympathetic aspect, and as Atif very rightly pointed out that we are oversensitized. From cultural aspects, there's limited knowledge within our society, within our families, as Fazal Sahab has mentioned, in terms of how to accept disability as a mainstream agenda, and secondly in terms of how to respond to that. So culturally there are more practices focused on prevention, in terms of control, in terms of sidelining and marginalizing people with disabilities, but there is less focus in terms of learning from you know, models within our society already existing, and also in terms of how to promote those practices which some organizations and institutions have led on, and government of course have led on to promote them within the society at large. Because the major challenge is that people with disabilities are mostly kept in their houses. So what happens in a household is really not well known outside. A recent report led by the British Council and one of Atif's advisory capacity was looking at how do we bring the people with disabilities more into mainstream development, particularly focusing on employment and education. And one of the challenges that came out strongly for women with disabilities was that the major worry for families and the local societies was about whether they will be getting married or not. So from the early childhood to adulthood, the major focus was, you know, how will these women be carrying out the family role, the maternal role, I mean, managing the whole household aspect.
So then what did you guys suggest?
I mean, and that requires to look at a woman as a wholesome citizen of the society rather than just a person leading on a responsibility and being catered from that perspective. As Haji Babar mentioned, being an elder brother, there are certain requirements the society expects him to do. Similarly for a woman, those tick boxes are expected from the society to be fulfilled, and if not, then the society to a large extent excludes that person.
Then I think you're pretty much relating to what I said, that we have to change the psychology. But other than that, do you think that we need to, for example, whenever we're talking about person with disability, I think whenever we see a person with disability, we need to extend a hand of help, okay? So do you think we need to change this concept from help to being useful? Do you think that will help?
One of the examples is around more from an help to ensure that whatever we decide, an agreement with the representative group is there. So when we are sitting here, I mean, there are a mix of people here. Some have different abilities, some have different requirements, and environment needs to support them in different ways. When we were entering this building, there was a ramp and there were stairs as well. So in more cases in terms of adjusting the environment to ensure that all people are available.
So that's infrastructure support.
So for example, an enabling environment. Okay, so just moving on from this enabling environment, I want to move on to Shabir. Because you're working, so how has your experience been in the working environment? Do you have an enabled work environment or not?
And to be very honest, before you answer that, it's not turn by turn, so it's an open discussion. We're not like adding on to something. Just go ahead, okay?
Well, working environment, I have worked so far with Telenor Pakistan, with Special Education Punjab, and currently working with a university as a researcher. Which is kind of a different field if you specifically talk about persons with visual impairment in Pakistan.
Absolutely.
To me, work has not been a challenge, very frankly speaking. Because assistive technology has empowered me and enabled me. Thanks to support of my family and teachers, friends, I have been able to use my other skills to enhance my to cover up or to enhance my skills or abilities. Now, having said that, Baba Sahab has different kind of difficulties in working environment.
Yes.
Maybe he may be facing difficulties like how to get a job, how to get a job that is equivalent to his financial needs.
Yeah.
Now, I may have different kind of problems.
Obviously.
Yes,
No,
of course.
there is no way that I got stuck in getting job. I did get job right after my completion of my master's. Well, in this context, I was lucky.
Yes.
Why do you think
Shahzad
you
Sahab,
were
you
lucky?
said-
did masters?
Yeah.
did
Masters,
graduation,
PhD, MPhil,
you did
that's what-
PhD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, why do you
I
still
am
think that you've been lucky?
Shahzad Sahab,
We
I am
need to
doing
change the
PhD.
psychology, I mean, on
I
that
am
matter.
doing PhD. I am not
How are you
currently.
doing your PhD?
I'm,
But
I'm
you-
doing PhD. I've done MPhil, but not PhD. Yeah. So this is a correction. But this was in the context that my masters, I did get a job, and simultaneously I did a job and I did acquired my MPhil degree.
Okay,
So this was because people often don't get jobs after their masters.
No, it
So
took me a
in
very
that
long
sense, I
time.
was lucky. But I faced different kind of problems.
Yeah, okay.
Now, coming to the point that Shahzad was saying, that is changing the psychology. I don't think that changing psychology only will work.
Okay.
It needs to be ingrained in consciousness, social consciousness, because educating them, educating the people, educating the masses, educating the society, frankly speaking, I have been trying for the last 5 years to convince banking sector that yes, this is my money, I am submitting my money in a bank, depositing my money in a bank, for the bank to safeguard or protect my money. But the bank refuses me to provide me ATM card, internet banking, mobile banking, and
wow.
and yeah, well, this is very strange and surprising.
Absolutely, that's absolutely shocking, to be honest. I mean,
And
it's-
that's what we mean by those barriers.
okay. So
And
because
it is not, and I can very specifically say that no person at the top hierarchy in the banking sector is less than educated of 16 years of education.
Oh, no, but no,
So-
exactly. Yeah,
But we do have cases like that too. But I want to add on to that.
I was just complimenting what Shabir has said.
Yes, please.
That you can change the attitudes if people like Shabir or the successful people with disability are visible in the society.
And set examples of
Yeah, they are the role models. And secondly, to bring the role model, you have to also enable the environment. Like he has got mobile software which speaks. He has software which is installed in his laptop, and laptop speaks out. So he is
Wow.
studying all the books. Secondly, for the
Is
wheelchair,
it a female vocal or a male vocal?
it's male.
Well, it comes with various sounds. It's up to your
You
choice.
can always change it.
Yeah.
okay,
And
yes, please.
secondly, if you make a building accessible for the wheelchair users, then it will create a social consciousness that,
Absolutely.
oh, this is for the wheelchair users.
Okay.
That means it will change.
Okay,
the
but now
society.
I want you to stop
Before,
over
wait,
there.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I need to ask.
Go ahead, go
ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm completely, absolutely flabbergasted that the bank is, despite Shabir being an absolutely
If you are-
productive member of society, society is not treating him like that. So, that's where, this is what you were saying, that we need to change this. And I'm sorry, I'm feeling very, very angry about it because that's so unfair. How do we stop this
But Mahat,
injustice?
that's where the consciousness, as Shabi has pointed out. Recently, I had to travel with 5 young women who were wheelchair-bound
Right.
individuals, and they were flying to an international venue representing women with disabilities, in taking initiative, going and talking about, saying that international protocols should also about women should also include the women
Yes.
with disabilities. That's another challenge to look at. That how do we sideline groups? And they were not allowed to board the flight because the airline at that time, however, the airline had booked all of them, accommodating their wheelchairs. Some of them had electric and power electric chairs.
Okay.
But they were not allowed to board because at that time the airline realized that, oh, this is something that we cannot accommodate. They had no written protocol, they had no reference, and that is how those women negotiated getting themselves boarded on the flight.
wow.
But that's how, and that's not a systemic approach. That's an individual sitting there just saying no because he thinks that's a burden and probably a lot of people will have to carry those chairs
Okay.
inside, and a lot of paperwork needs to happen.
The extra effort, basically.
Yeah.
So,
That's it.
and not being trained and not being brought into a consciousness to look at, you know, them, there are 300 people boarding this flight, these 5 women can do.
And I think at the
this is
same
their
time,
luggage.
people, they do act a little lazy at times. They know that they can actually go through it, but it's just that they don't want
And
to
same
make
is the case
some
with Shabi. It's not a system approach. It's actually thinking about the fact that we'll have to add in additional measures. He'll require that extra support as someone specific to respond to his
Okay,
needs.
but this brings us back to the theme of the day, which is the
But-
technology for. Yes,
But I want to
please.
add,
Please
you
do.
know, one point that
Before we move on, yes.
actually problem is one behavior, and the second is we have to discuss on this day that there is also a problem of policies and then practice. We have some policies in Pakistan also.
We do, yeah.
Government, you know, constituted different policies, but the implementation is a problem.
Okay.
So no one is giving access in the building. You know, the engineers, when they design the building, they don't put the
Fire exits.
the fire exits,
You know,
and wheelchair
safety
access.
ramps,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So
Now we need some legislation in addition to the policy,
Yeah.
right? We do have
But
good
before
policy.
you say that, there's one more very important question which I think I need to ask from Shabir. Shabir, this laptop speaking technology, is it in English or Urdu?
It's in English.
It's in English. Now, what about all those people who've never ever been to school?
Well, Shahzad, this is something that we also need to work on. There are people who have been working as at their master's or MPhil science projects.
Yeah.
Some students of, I think, FAST University or ComSets University on the speaking software that relates to Urdu.
Okay.
But for that softwares to come out at a professional level in the market, Pakistanis themselves have to work with.
Yes.
So I think we can relate it with this year's theme, which is technological advancements too at the same time. So how do you think we can get the technology for our
Let me
people?
show a very interesting thing about the banking, which we all raised in the discussion. State Bank of Pakistan has recently, yesterday, they have circulated a notification to all commercial banks to make their ATMs accessible. So that's a big achievement.
That's
We can celebrate it
fantastic.
It
today.
is.
Well, very frankly, sorry Atif to cut you off. In 2009, State Bank issued a notification that all persons with visual impairment, I'm sorry if I'm pinpointing a specific disability, since the day relates to persons with disabilities. So persons with visual impairment, the notification was issued that the visual impairment persons given and opened single account. Now what happens, 2009 September this notification comes out, and October the individual banks, they put the restrictions explaining that notification, that if a person wants to open a single account,
Okay.
if he is visually impaired, he should have someone to attend him.
Oh, okay. So
And the attendant will have to furnish his CNIC in original as well as a photocopy with the check
Okay.
to be deposited.
okay, that's
So
the
this is just summing up this point.
Please do.
Actually, I had not completed what I was saying, that the State Bank has issued a notification to all commercial banks,
Right.
but the practicalities or operational guidelines have not been developed, and it's not part of the legislation. That's why, so that's what I was saying, that we need to have. Government of Pakistan has ratified UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and we are among the 137 countries who have ratified this convention so far.
Exactly.
Now this is the time to change our legislation in accordance with the UN Convention. This IT accessibility, ICT accessibility, and introducing technology to enable the environment of persons with disabilities is mentioned in the convention.
But to use that technology, Atif, we need to create awareness, and we need to
Awareness.
educate all those
Exactly.
people who are out there.
Because,
This-
for example, I mean, instances we have mentioned, stories are individual stories, and this is not at a large,
Yes.
massive effort
Exactly.
being taken
Yeah.
up. So if Shabi is doing that, there will be 100 other young men who are sitting at home, not knowing this information, thinking in their minds that we'll go and apply for a job and we'll have a bank account and all of that. When we talk about sustainable development, as the International Day sort of focuses on, that requires the initiatives not just from the government and policies, but implementation demand from the recipient sector, the civil society, the wider society at large. One aspect around the cultural barriers we were talking about is also the fact that, as Fazal Saab mentioned, children, women, young people, older people are in the houses, the families are in the houses, there's no connection with all of the things that we're talking about. So you mentioned rightly about all of those people with disabilities who have never been to school.
Exactly.
What adjustment needs to happen for them? We're talking about technology. Technology is something, all of these things are developed abroad. The countries who have developed them, they have a different way of living.
Yes.
When you walk into a train station, there's a ramp, there's a ticketing system for
Even
you.
the bus
for
is going to
buses.
lower down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it will
So
be
I
like-
mean that requires a larger big change, which will
Exactly.
not just happen just because we are celebrating our day, but actually requires that day to wholesomely demand those aspects.
And to ensure sustainable development, we need to consult people with disabilities in the 5-year plans of the country, at the legislation level, at the policy level. Unfortunately, we don't have representation of disability at the decision-making level. That's why all the policies are not inclusive.
So that we should actually know the root cause, which actually created different for all those people who are disabled. Yeah, Haji
Haji,
Sahab wanted
please
to add.
add.
I would like to share my personal views
Sure,
that
sir.
I'm not unhappy due to my disability, because I know this due to this disability I am very near to my Allah.
Okay.
Every guy listen Allah, or my every guy Allah is my near to me. But that's a problem that there's two kinds of disability. One disability by birth and one disability by suddenly. The family accepted by birth disability people, accepted and care and working together, everything. But the suddenly disability, there's so much problem. There's so much problem. Why the families will not accepted the suddenly disability? Like me, like if I'm suddenly disability, if my wife, other people may be disabled, then what happened to them?
Okay, but let me ask you this, because
Yeah.
this is because this was an onset. You weren't born with this these issues, but these are developed over time. Now, how has that had an impact on your, like, if you don't mind me asking, on your family life? Because it has been, a transition. It has been troublesome.
Yeah,
So
because
how-
earlier you mentioned that your parents are not looking after you, they don't even call you, and now you're living with your sister, right? You had some family issues.
Yeah.
And you earlier mentioned, when you earlier came on the show, that your parents, they do not call you now because of the
Yeah.
fact that they think that there's something
Yeah.
wrong with you. So how do you deal with such issues, and how do you think you can be a source of inspiration for all those others who are out there and are looking at you right now?
Because I know this disability in the future, this is progressing disability, not a suddenly one time disability. The every day I'm going to weakness. So in what I think, if I know myself in the future that this thing happening to me. If I am disabled, if my wife or children disabled, then what will they do? Okay, will I left them? No, I never left them. I'm facing this problem because I know this disability to go. So I manage every day without my wife or with wife. So
Amazing
It's
that
just
is, you're a
nothing wrong with it.
Superman in any
Yeah.
case, so thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for that. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for time, and we
for
still have a
joining
few
us.
points
Lovely
to
having you, and I
finish
think at the same time, the
Thank
only
you.
thing we need to focus on right now is that these family members we have, I think they are the assets. And if, God forbid, something's wrong with any one of your siblings, be a human, act like a human, and if you're going to do that, I think you'll be satisfied with the entire life you have been through, and all those future endeavors you're going to face in future. They'll be very easy for you. So please act like humans.
Yeah, and today it was about sustainable development and promise of technology with people with disabilities, and it's not just about people with disabilities, it's about all of us as well. It's, we're all included in this together, we all live in this world together, and we all take the society and our future together. So with that, keep everyone in mind, be, like Shazad said, be human, you know, just access that little part of your heart, which is nice. And you know, this bank stuff has really got to me. I'm sorry. And this aeroplane situation, you know, people really need to start waking up and realizing we're in the 21st century, and we cannot be so discriminatory anymore.
And I even love Salman Khan for being human. So don't forget to be human, okay, and act human. Look after yourself. Don't forget to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of.
Well, this morning.
On Twitter.
Well, this morning
on
without the G.
Dailymotion.
Oh, well, this morning.
And catch the rerun at
11:05.
Until the next time, don't forget to tune into PT World tomorrow, 9:05 in the morning. We'll be right here, dazzling Shazad Khan and stunning Maham Magdoom. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.